Okay, so starting a fitness vlog, if you will. This will be the first one, obviously. Um, I've had this itch for a while. I've always wanted to do a marathon. It's like a life type goal thing. It's one of the things I wanted to do. And a few years back during COVID, when things were closed down, we really couldn't go to gyms or anything like that, I started training for a marathon. I didn't have a coach or anything like that, so I didn't really know what I was doing. I was like, well, I just figured you're supposed to run as far as you can each day, do that 3, 4, 5 days a week, and then find a marathon and go running. I was like, well, it's not going to be marathons for a while, so I got at least probably a year or two before this COVID thing blows over, and I can do that. So I started training, and I was training hard for I don't know 4 months, and I developed plantar fasciitis in both the bottoms of my feet, and I still kept training on them to the point to where it's like I'd go on. For me, it was a long distance. I'd go on a 8 to 10 mile run, and my feet would just be tore up afterwards. To where, because I'm not a distance runner by any means, my feet would just be tore up afterwards, and I'd have to spend the next 3 to 4 hours, on the couch, like massaging my feet, stretching my feet, icing my feet, and I couldn't walk the rest of the day. I was hobbling around like on the edges of my feet, like a baby with a shitty diaper or something like that. That's how I felt, but in pain. Anyways, that's didn't last very long, and then it took me. Then I started seeing a podiatrist, and then it took me honestly another probably 2 years of constant stretching and even using like anti-inflammatory medications, having inserts into my shoes, and yeah, it took a while to mitigate that problem. And I still have to be careful because I notice it's one of those things, like you're not careful, once you have the injury, it'll come back immediately. It's like, so this was 5 years ago, and I have to watch out. So I stopped doing all that. I do some distance running a little bit, just for fun. But then I had a hernia operation earlier this year, so that kind of killed everything. So not a lot. I can't go to jiu-jitsu. It was an umbilical hernia, so right out the bottom of your umbilical cord, which your belly button. So can't go to jiu-jitsu, can't lift heavy weights, can't do any running or anything like that. It's like I'm down to walking. Well, I had always wanted to do like again a marathon. Well, that dream kind of escalated, if you will, into wanting to do an Ironman eventually. And then I started watching these ultra runners doing 100 miles, and I'm like, that's ultimate. It's like, it's like lots of people do marathons, and I'm never going to be one of those guys who's going to try to do like a 3 mile marathon or something, or a three hour marathon. I'm just not that guy. I'm not built that way. And it's not because I don't believe in myself. It's like I know what I can do and I know what I can't do. But anyways, um I started watching this ultra marathon stuff, and I was like, that looks like something, because as extreme as it is, it's not just running. Where these marathoners, I mean, they're getting into like full blown sprints for like 24 miles, and I'm like, yeah, I can't do this. Like I can sprint like 800 meters at most, and then I'm winded or something. But doing 24 miles, or sorry, 26 miles. I stand corrected. That's just not going to happen. So the ultra marathon is really appealing. Plus, I did start getting into the Ironman thing for a minute. I started looking into that, bought some books, read some books, some training videos, stuff like that. And you know what I realized? I can't fucking swim. Um, I even sought out a swimming coach and getting lessons and stuff like that. I don't like swimming. And they're like, "Oh yeah, you get to swim." I think on Ironman is, I want to say it's like 2 point something miles, like between 2 and 3 miles. It's, I forget off the top of my head, but um, I have no freaking interest in doing swimming. I don't like swimming, so it's like, okay, well, are you gonna suck up the rest of the event just so you can do the swimming? It's like, I don't like swimming. I mean, I genuinely, can I swim to save my life? Yeah, I can swim to save my life. I can tread water. I know how to take my pants off and tie them up and use them as a flotation device and such like that. I could survive, if ever in water. But I live in Arizona. There is no water here unless you're going to the lake or something like that. So I think I'm pretty okay. Um, so yeah, the Ironman thing was short lived, like I don't know, a year or something like that of training. I did buy the bike, and I do enjoy the cycling though, but I don't give a crap about swimming. So again, and I remember reading like a lot of people did in David Goggins' book. I think it's his second one. He was talking about similar things like, yeah, I can't swim to see. He's like, I'm a Navy SEAL. He says, I was a Navy SEAL and I can't swim to save my life. He says, I did what I did to get through pool comp, but I can't swim. He says, and I tried, I learned how, and he says, I just can't do it. But he says, what people don't realize is how much I actually cycle for my cardio and for my leg strength as well. He says, I do a lot of cycling. It's not just I'm a runner. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So I stuck with the cycling. I enjoy the cycling. That's a lot of fun. There's not a lot of in the main cities, suburbanized Phoenix metro area, if you will. A lot of places to go cycling, unfortunately. There's really not trails for it. So I blocked the light there. So cycling can be a challenge with the traffic, and the traffic is terrible. Drivers in Arizona are as bad as the internet makes it out to be. They really are terrible. So I was like, well, let's get back. I started again watching, some short documentaries here and there on ultramarathon. And I'm like, I'm going to make it a life goal of doing 100-mile race. I started watching just recently this last weekend, really watching some races, and I think I can do it. And so I set myself a goal, and that's what today is day one, which I was already to a point exercising, but now it has more of a focus, which is something I need. I need something to compete because for the last, honestly, 15 years since I stopped trying to be an MMA fighter and a Thai fighter, Muay Thai fighter, not Star Wars Thai fighter, if you get the reference and joke. Ha ha ha. But I need something to compete. And I think this is something because it's a personal challenge. I don't necessarily need a team to do so. Eventually I will need coaching. That's one of the things that I've learned, which is a lot of people start off on their own and eventually they do gravitate towards some type of coach, just someone who has a lot more experience and can help them along the way for a little bit. So, and doing an ultra marathon, there are some people who do a lot of them by themselves. But for the most part, when you're starting off, you really, to get that experience, you really need a team to help you out, at your rest stations and traveling and everything like that. So that is the goal, is to set a 24-month. So this vlog is going to be continuous and we'll see how far we get. The goal is to get a 100-mile race in the next 24 months. I'm 48 years old. I'll be 49 here in a couple of months. So can I do it? I don't know. I did have a meniscus problem a couple times with my knee in my adulthood, and we'll see if that plays a part. Plus, I am a lot bigger than I used to be. When I was fighting, as an example, most of my 20s, I walked around about 175, 180 pounds. And when I started competing, I changed my diet. I had a strength and conditioning coach. I had a dietitian. I was going to jujitsu and boxing and kickboxing, and I had a lot of coaches helping me out along the way. And it was fun I did it for about 4 years, and I didn't even start until I was like 30 years old. And I still had a chance. People say, "Oh, it's too late." It's like, nah, it's not too late. I still had a chance. I knew I was never going to be a UFC champion or anything like that, but I just wanted one fight in the octagon. That was the goal. It's like just to get to a point, because I knew how good I was and how good I wasn't, but I just wanted one fight in the octagon, which is not impossible of a dream to do. It's staying in the UFC, which is the difficult part. But I just wanted one fight in the octagon. That would have been a dream come true. Didn't happen. Things happen. We'll get into it in another video. But anyways, since then, I've struggled with weight. I've struggled with fitness. When you're training 3-4 hours a day, and even before that, throughout my 20s, as a single guy, it's like I could work out 2 hours a day and be fine. And now, looks like the dog's up, but then I was training 3-4 hours a day, 5-6 days a week, and I was in really good shape. But I was walking at about 195, cutting down to diet down to 180, and because I had that dialed in, I could get down to about 3% body fat at 180 pounds, and then I would cut weight to 170, and I'd be good. Felt energetic. I had everything dialed in. I felt energetic, felt strong, felt I was ready to go. So now I'm not. Now I'm sitting at 250, and I am struggling even just to get down to like 245 or something like that. So I need competition. I need competition. I need a motivation and determination, something a goal to wake up to each day. So that's what this is. Well, let's get going. We just showed up the mountain. So in Arizona, we are at the 7th Street Thunderbird Mountain, Hilton Point or whatever the hell it's called. I don't really know. Anyways, so it's 9 o'clock. I got started a little bit later, but being a holiday, I could have gotten out here earlier. For the most part, I'm going to be starting my exercise training at 8:30ish anyways. And the reason being is because I still have to get my kids off to school. So I could wake up at 4:30 and go running or do whatever I want at 5 a.m., but I don't want to. So I just got to put on extra sunscreen and get going. So let's see. So this particular trail, I don't know how far it is, but if you go down there to the main road and then follow that road all the way around about a half mile, it will start at the base of the mountain, or you could cut through. Zoom in a little bit there. You can cut through to that trail right there. That cuts you to about halfway up the mountain. So then what you can do is you're at halfway, so you can go down all the way to the bottom and then all the way back up to the top and then come back down halfway and call it a day. I'm gonna go the hard route just because, as my daddy always said, I had a hard head and I like to do things the hard way, so why stop now? So we're gonna get started on that and see you at the bottom of the trail. So we're at the bottom of the hill. I'll show you guys. Now zoom out. So there's the bottom of the hill there. So like I said, it's about a half mile just to get here, and it is at a slight incline. And you guys necessarily can't see the incline. I'll zoom in. So it's going to wind around all the way up there. You can see the little wall. That's all a paved trail, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people like this mountain. One repetition for me should be enough. I remember coming here like a year ago or something like that, and there was this guy training for an ultramarathon. And by the time it took me, I'm not even exaggerating, by the time it took me to go up and down one time, this guy was jogging the whole time. He lapped me 3 times. It was incredible. I was so inspired, but I've had nothing but injuries in the last couple of years that have really restricted me from doing a whole lot. So, we'll start over again today. So, zoom in. All right, so we're only a mile into this thing, and then we just passed by this guy and talked to him for a second. Fucking Tarzan here. Barefoot, no shirt, blonde hair and everything like that. Comes walking down the mountain. I'm like, dude, what the heck? He's like, feels good, bro. I'm like, making me feel bad, dude. I feel like it's such a bag of shit, dude. So that's funny. So again, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start this journey, because when you start getting into hiking and marathon running and ultra marathon running, you seriously, I've met a few people in the industry, and you meet some really interesting people that are just tough as shit, but they're also nice as fuck too. So I aspire for that. So moving on. All right, so every so often they got, and you can see that behind me, they got these platforms. It seemed to be, because I'm using my watch, my fit tracker. I face the sun there. Sorry, guys. Using my fit tracker to judge distance, and it seems like they have these flat areas, if you will, like every quarter of a mile roughly. And
And that worked for me because my heart feels like it's about to explode out my chest. So you got to stop every so often just so you can catch your breath. There's nothing wrong with that. One of the things that I've seen watching all these ultra marathon documentaries, which is, you know, run when you can, walk when you have to, you know, crawl when you absolutely can't anymore, or something like that. You know, but it's okay to stop. It's okay to take breaks. It's not okay to quit and to finish. I could be tired right now. I'm halfway up the mountain, a little bit beyond that. I could go back down, go all the way back around, and be like, hey, that was a good exercise. But my goal is to get up to those towers right there. And if I don't do that, well, then it's a quit, and I don't want that. So I just keep trucking on. You know, it may take me a while, but I'll get there eventually. This is the last stretch to the top. Pretty steep. My legs are freaking jello at this point. So I'm like taking a break every couple steps. But we'll get there. All right, we made it. So we're at the top. I'm freaking jello fatigued. Hands are shaky. Check my watch. That is about 1.75 miles so far. There's the West Valley. There's the Central Phoenix, South Valley, East Valley. And yeah, my legs are shot and I still gotta go down too. So looks like we'll be hitting between 3.25 and 3.5 miles. And then I go down to, there's a platform down here. Honestly, take about 10 minutes rest, hydrate a little bit, and then stretch out, and then we'll head back down.